I'm pleased to say I'm joined by the ITV pundit and commentator Chris Mason. Chris, thanks for the time. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Absolute pleasure as always.
Now, firstly, how are you getting on and how are you finding the lockdown we find ourselves here in the UK, like many other countries around the world at the moment?
Yeah, a little bit tough. As most of the listeners will know, I enjoy my gym and working out and just generally the outdoors, enjoy me fishing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a bit tough, but it's just tough for everybody, and we just got to take the advice of those that know better than we do. You know, the doctors and scientists and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's been tough. I've managed to borrow a bike, so the hour that we are allowed to go out and exercise, I've been making the most of that really, and just going out for the odd run and keeping myself as busy as I can at home.
Yeah, and one of the things you've been doing, we've seen on Twitter, you've been doing an excellent job raising money for the NHS. I think over £10,000 when we're talking right now. Talk us through the idea to put the different raffles on and which players have helped out so far.
Yeah, it was just sort of had an idea in my head of with all the coverage that the NHS have got and I mean, most of them on the front line are putting their own lives at risk for us. And, we've heard some tragic stories of where frontline staff have caught the virus and have had to isolate and sometimes isolate away from their own family. And I thought, well, what could I do? And I know sort of darts is very popular at the minute and everybody's missing it, but there's a massive social media following, not just for myself, but obviously for the sport in general and the followers and everybody else was doing their bit. And I started off and I asked a couple of players, look, would you think about donating a shirt? I'm gonna try and raffle them. With this bits of technology out there that makes it not simple, but it's still a bit of a pain to put together. Obviously, because you've got to get all the names that have donated and then put them into a draw and then do a raffle and film it. And I thought, well, I'll have a go. And it just sort of started off. John McDonald said, look, I've got a Rob Cross shirt you can have, and I mean he's brilliant for all the charities. And then Bobby George and Devon Peterson, Darryl Fitton, Bunting, Lisa Ashton, Ian White, Glenn Durrant, literally Gezi Price, MVG and Modus, they chipped in, and then Darts Planet offered some VIP packages for people to become a member of their site, and it just went on and on and on. And Paul Wilson then started donating tickets for his shows, the Dazzler in December, and people just sort of got involved and they were chipping in with fivers and tenors depending on the price of the tickets. And I had a mad idea. I thought, right, I'm going to try and raise 10 grand. I never thought I'd get anywhere near it, but yesterday I put 9 shirts up for grabs yesterday, so there was great opportunities. 10 quid got you a ticket into every draw. People like John Worsley have sent me bundles of bits. Phil Barr has sent me a load of signed programs. It's just snowballed and just gone on and on and on. I'm bound to Kevin Painter as well, Gary Plummer from Target, John Pierce, and then people, just general people off of Twitter, donating stuff that they've had themselves. It's just been mad. To be honest, I'm bound to have left loads of people out as well, because Murph Kingy also put in a shirt, Diogo Portela, Jeff Smith from Canada, Jamie Cavan. Basically, they've all chipped in with something. So much so I've just gone over my 10 grand target, and I've still got a few bits left. So my plan is now that the fund set up for the frontline staff, the money's gone off to them. And apparently, when things all settle down, I'm going to go. They're basically going to put on a dinner for all those that donated, and you're going to get a little presentation. I mean, although it sounds a lot of money, it's minuscule up to the amount of money some have raised. And then the rest of it, Michael Smith came up with the idea. Michael Smith was another one. He was straight in with a great donation, but he came up with a fab idea. He's raised, I think, over 7,000, and he's been going to the supermarket, and anybody wearing their NHS lanyard, he's been paying for their groceries. So anything over the top of the 10 grand, that's what I'm going to do in my local supermarket. I'm going to spend a day in the local supermarket. I'm going to spend a few days, depending on how much money I have, and I'm just going to pay for their groceries. I think that's just a nice touch for those that line at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been really nice to see, doing a great job. And when we last had you on, I believe it was just after the PDC World Championship. We'll come on to the PDC later, but we also touched a little bit on the BDO, and you announced that you weren't going to be part of the TV team for the upcoming World Championship at the O2. But did you get to watch much of it, and what was your impression on how the event went?
Yeah, I think it was a wise move in the end. I think they've done it. I know. Listen, you can't hide from the fact that the darts was all forms of darts is great. You know, we're seeing the PDC have been doing darts online, and Modus now are doing their live league and their Icons of Darts live league and stuff like that. And it just shows you the hunger for the sport. So yeah, I watched the majority of it. It was fabulous to see Wayne Warren. It was ironic when you think of the combined age of the two new champions was sort of over 100. It was incredible, really. Peter Wright, first time winner at 49, and then Wayne Warren. And you know, my underlying feeling was just sorrow for him. I mean, a great achievement, but when you win a world title in your chosen sport, it should be life changing. And he ended up with a paltry 22,000, I think it was in the end. And I think Dean Winstanley was doing a fundraiser for the women's prize money. Well, sport at any level shouldn't be like that, and he knew, he knew at the time, Des Jacklin, that the funds weren't going to be there. It was a disastrous move, ultimately, without the funding in place, taking it to the O2. I mean, the O2, don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful venue for darts. I mean, I played there for show nights for Wayne Dobinson, who I know had a massive part in trying to promote the event himself. But yeah, I just felt sorry for the players. You know, they spend all that money travelling the circuit for the whole year for that, that golden egg at the end to try and become world champion and get life-changing money where they could maybe then go on and think about turning pro and giving the PDC a circuit where, poor Wayne Warren, by the time he took his expenses out for the year and tax and everything else, there ain't going to be a lot left in the pot for him to do anything with. So I enjoyed the darts. I thought from sort of the last 16 onwards for the men, and then the sort of the last 8 onwards for the ladies, I thought it was a great event.
Yeah, and you touched on there the prize fund being slashed, and behind the scenes a lot of uncertainty really with regards to the BDO. And a few months after that event, more recently, we've seen the chairman Des Jacklin resign. Looking back now, do you feel that the decision to move to the O2 and the prize fund being slashed was the final blow really for his reign in charge?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a decent enough fella, and he obviously has a huge passion for the game, which we've seen in previous years with people that are involved in the BDO. The vast majority of them, they basically do it for the love, which is all very well and good. But unfortunately, in modern day sport, you need industry experts, and I know it's a word I've overused in the last sort of 5 years, but it just won't. It will never be anything than what it is until they change what's gone wrong. If it's not broke and everything else, you don't try. But it's been broke for nigh on 30 years, and the same thing keeps happening over and over again. You've got people doing deals with other people that if you had half an understanding of the industry, you never would have done, and that put them in absolutely financial turmoil over the last few years. And they can't be helped. They don't listen to people that know. The olive branch has been out there by the PDC for many years. I know Barry and Matt Porter have always said, look, we're here to help. There's, the PDC is not in competition with the BDO. Let's have that right. Which is why that olive branch has been there by the PDC, so much so that, maybe a moment of madness, Barry even at one stage offered to rescue it and buy it. He must look back at that now. But the thing is, people say that he must look back and think he was mad, but ultimately those things wouldn't have happened if he was at the helm. But yeah, there's just, listen, he might be a property developer and a former nightclub owner. That doesn't have any correlation whatsoever to signing TV deals and trying to secure sponsorship deals and negotiating contracts. It just, one doesn't transfer into the other, and ultimately he had to go. I didn't think anybody could do any more damage, but somehow in just over 12 months, he lost the longest running deal with Wimble, with the World Masters, and the World Masters was an absolute disaster. Ruined everything at Lakeside. I'm not saying Lakeside is perfect, but until you've got something in place where prize money is guaranteed, and for all his faults, Bob Potter, every year that they were in trouble, he bailed them out financially. Until you've got something better in place, it's better the dog you know. And again, that was just a lack of experience on Des Jacqueline's part. But hopefully now things are going to improve. I know that the WDF are attempting to take over, especially the major events side of things. So fingers crossed for the players, because as we've always said, the BDO has a place in darts. Every sport needs an amateur organisation, and that's not a slight. It is what it is. They're the amateur governing body of darts, and that should be embraced. They should run with that ethos. There's loads of amateur organisations that are financially stable all over the world, and there's no reason why they can't, with the right people running it, be exactly that.
Definitely, yeah. And back to the PDC, the last big event that we saw before the virus outbreak was the UK Open. You were there for ITV, and what a great tournament it was. What were the standout moments for you working on the broadcast that weekend?
Oh, just so many. I mean, it's just such a fabulous event. We got the multi-boards. We had the biggest field ever. I think it was 159 in the end, because somebody, I can't remember who it was, pulled out. Max Hock maybe pulled out with illness. And it was just a remarkable event from start to finish. We had 9-darter. Everything was there. Every I was dotted and every T was crossed, and it never fails to produce that event. I think it always has a story, and you sometimes get a new winner. I mean, on the back of the Worlds, it was great. Obviously, Peter Wright winning it, and then what a statement of intent for the rest of the year, going and then winning the Masters. And yeah, I just love that tournament. I just think I love the venue, the crowd absolutely love it. It's just a different kind of atmosphere, and it always will be. And long may that one continue. But it's going to be tough for the PDC now for the remainder of this year, when we eventually get the action back, because the dart players, I hope they've been getting themselves fit, because they're going to be in for a torrid time. If they thought the schedule was tough before, the next 6 or 7 months is going to be rammed, because they're going to have to play. They're going to have to be playing midweek.
Definitely, yeah. It's going to be a busy time, and I suppose before this break that we've had, there was a lot of debate of who's the best player in the world. A few people saying Van Gogh, a few people saying Gerwyn Price, a few people saying Peter Wright, a few others coming into the fore as well. But we saw with the UK Open, finished off with another final between Van Gogh and Price. Van Gogh coming out on top, but we saw Gerwyn Price had a decent lead at one point before the doubles let him down, and they've played each other in the Premier League a little while after that. It does feel like a big rivalry developing, but do you need to see Gerwyn Price maybe win a few more games against Michael before you can call it that?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he will kick himself. I think that was more one that he lost rather than it was one that MVG won. If you understand what I'm trying to say, he had opportunities, and it just didn't happen for him. But let's not forget, he's still learning his trade. He's come from a completely different sport. He's only been sort of full-time pro, probably 4 or 5 years, and he's making incredible progress. And for a guy that sort of wasn't born into the game, and it wasn't something that he did from day dot. You can't give him enough credit. I mean, I rate him highly. I think he's box office. I think the game, the game needed him. We needed a new star, and it is a rivalry. His record, like majority, a bit like most people's records against Phil, it's not the best. But that's here and there at the moment. He's getting closer. I don't think Michael's as good as he was. And I don't think he has been. I think we see flashes of it. I think I think we've seen flashes of it during the UK Open. He hit some big numbers and he threw some lovely darts. But I think the gap has closed. I think people have got a little bit better, and I think he's regressed slightly. Not massively, but enough to make it competitive, if you understand what I'm saying. And that's a great thing.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And the other big event we've seen so far this season, still a little way to go on it, is the Premier League, and Glenn Durrant top of the pile, Nathan Aspinall, the other debutant who's also started very well, beating Van Gogh in one night as well. But it looked on course for a really competitive year going well before we had the break. What have you made of the start of the Premier League season?
Yeah, I loved it. I went to the very last one. I went to the Liverpool Premier League, and it was great. I literally went there as a punter. We took a couple of Darts TV winners to the night. They had a night out. We took care of their hotel, and we give them a VIP experience. And it was honestly, I absolutely loved it. It was great to go there just as a punter. And yeah, I agree. Nathan Aspinall for me is right up there with Michael Smith and Gerwin Price. They're really exciting prospects. They're the ones in 4 or 5 years that very, very well maybe competing for world honours and being maybe getting to the top of the rankings. We just don't know. But yeah, I'm gutted because the Premier League was boiling up to be a bit special. Glenn Durrant again himself been an absolute breath of fresh air, throwing lovely darts. And he'll be gutted himself because he was looking good for this season. But, they've had this opportunity. If there's been a few little bad habits crept into their game, my God, what an opportunity now to go away and put them things right. And it is a great opportunity for them to do that. So I think a few of them may be a little bit rusty when we do get back. But I think we'll see some spectacular darts throughout the remainder of the year when we do get back properly.
2 more questions for you, and one more on the Premier League. The fixtures, there's been a lot of change as you've seen. The next one now, not until the end of July. The finals are going to be in Sheffield in October now. Obviously a massive money spinner for the PDC, the Premier League. How important was it for them to keep the season on the calendar?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they do it. Matt Porter must have had some seriously sleepless nights, as with people like Dave Allen and Barry and all the huge team involved in it all. And it's just out of their control, a lot of these things, and they've just got to do the best they can, and the players have just got to try and do the best they can. I suppose we know that the fans will come out in their droves and support because that's what they do. Yeah, it must have been just an absolute total headache for them. But it is what it is. More important things going on around the world with people losing their lives and that. So I suppose everything's just got to be put into perspective, and that's just one of them things. We just got to wait and see what happens, and just make the best of a bad job, really.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the PDC calendar, we're still waiting to hear about the next 2 big events, if you like, the World Cup, the World Match Play, but the World Series, that's seen the biggest change so far. The US event, the 3 in Australasia, they've all been postponed till next year. The Denmark one moved to October, and we're not quite sure about the supposed finals, which I think were supposed to be in Austria in September time. But was it the right decision, do you think, to prioritise the ranking events, which we're probably expecting to take place during those weekends?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still fairly confident that the World Series finals take place, but I'm pretty sure that they'll just effectively rebrand it and maybe call it something else, because obviously we've got no qualification system for it. It's not going to be impossible to put the event on, but it's what they call it and how they possibly rebrand it, because we don't have all the other ones. It can't be a World Series finals because we've not had anything else. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to get around that, but they know. I mean, they're geniuses at their job, which is why the PDC just continues to go from strength to strength. But yeah, I'm sure they'll have it all sussed, and it maybe just be called this year. It maybe just be called something else.
Well, Chris, it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you. Thank you very much for taking the time out, and keep up the great work that we're seeing you do on Twitter, raising money for the NHS, and hopefully we'll be chatting to you soon when the Darts is back up and running.
And you guys, you keep doing what you're doing. It's great content you put out there, and much needed at the moment where there's not too much going on. So, really appreciate your podcast, lads.